Today we're going to talk about what the coming weeks are going to look like at US ports and on American shelves and why it's far worse than we think. And I've got two interviews. I speak with the New York Attorney General Letitia James about a new lawsuit against the Trump administration and North Carolina Supreme Court Justice Allison Riggs about her win finally being certified 6 months after Election Day. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen and you're watching No Lie. There is new reporting that should serve as a 5-alarm fire to anybody who's worried about our economy, about the cost of goods, or even about there being items on the shelves. For the first time since the pandemic, there are literally zero ships, heading from China to California's top ports. 6 days ago, there were 41 vessels scheduled to depart China for the San Pedro Bay complex, which includes the Port of Los Angeles and the Port of Long Beach. Today, none. Zero. And of course, this catastrophic drop in shipping is the direct result of Trump's trade war, where he has slapped a 145% tariff on most Chinese imports. Now, let me remind you that this is the same Donald Trump who promised that he'd make incredible deals with China. The guy who said, and I quote, "Trade wars are good and easy to win." The guy who swore up and down that he would bring manufacturing back to America and reduce our trade deficit. None of that happened. None of it's materialized. Instead, we are seeing a collapse in trade that port officials say is worse than what we experienced during COVID. The Port of Long Beach is seeing a 35 to 40% drop in cargo volume. The Port of Los Angeles is seeing a 31% drop just this week. The Port of Seattle doesn't have a single container ship in port. Another anomaly that we haven't seen since the pandemic. That's right, the pandemic, when businesses were famously booming and the shelves were famously full. This isn't some abstract economic data point. This is going to hit Americans directly in their wallets and on their store shelves. Mario Cordero, the CEO of the Port of Long Beach, was pretty damn clear when he said, quote, "If things don't change quickly, I'm talking about the uncertainty that we're seeing, then we may be seeing empty products on the shelves. This is now going to be felt by the consumer in the coming 30 days. Empty shelves within a month. That's what Donald Trump's easy-to-win trade war is bringing us. And let's be crystal clear about the economic danger that we're facing. We already have 1 quarter of negative economic growth behind us. That means we are one more negative quarter away from officially entering recession. That's the definition of a recession, 2 straight quarters of negative growth, which is why, by the way, Trump not only claimed that this quarter was still Biden's economy, but why he's already signaling that it's going to remain Biden's economy, because he knows that his own policies are plunging us into economic disaster, and yet he needs to preserve some plausible deniability that he's not to blame when we inevitably enter this recession. Trump knows that that's just a couple of months away, and so he's desperate to diffuse responsibility onto somebody else. He's so quick to launch a trade war, and yet refuses to take the blame for its consequences. And of course, the irony here is that Donald Trump campaigned on lowering costs for Americans. Remember all of his promises about bringing down inflation? Yeah, slapping 145% tariffs on Chinese goods does not lower prices. It sends them through the roof. And who pays those tariffs? It's not China, we do. American businesses, which pass those costs on to American consumers. It is a tax on Americans. And so now, Trump is suggesting that he might lower the tariff to 80% in his desperation to fix some of what he plunged us into, as if lowering them to 80% is some kind of generous concession here. Even at 80%, these tariffs are catastrophically high. For context here, before this trade war, the average U.S. tariff on Chinese goods was around 3%. But even during the height of Trump's first-term trade war with China, tariffs topped out at about 25%. We are right now talking about tariffs that are 6 times higher than they were during Trump's first term. And who exactly is better off because of this trade war? Not American consumers, who are facing higher prices and goods shortages. Not American businesses, who rely on Chinese components. Not American workers, especially those in shipping and transportation and retail, who are seeing their jobs threatened by this artificial crisis, this voluntary crisis. Not even American manufacturers, because guess what? You can't just create complex supply chains overnight. It takes years in some instances. The brutal reality here is that this trade war is a lose-lose proposition. I've said it before, there are no winners in a trade war. It is economic self-harm disguised by Donald Trump as toughness. And this is a prime example of his fake populism, actions that he claims are to help ordinary Americans, but actually hurt them while he takes credit for being tough. In the coming weeks, when you see those empty shelves or notice prices jumping even higher, just remember, this was not inevitable. This wasn't necessary. This was a choice, a reckless, ill-conceived choice by an administration, by one man, that apparently learns nothing from his first disastrous attempt at trade warfare. But Trump doesn't care about the consequences for ordinary people. He doesn't care about the real economy. He cares about looking tough, about creating crises that he can then pretend to solve, and then distracting everybody from his failures with splashy headlines about how great he is. So while Donald Trump tweets about how amazing his trade war is going, real Americans are going to feel the pain of his policies, and that pain, again, is completely unnecessary. A self-inflicted wound on an economy that was at record highs from the previous administration. All Trump had to do was literally nothing. Go golf. But he decided to break the economy so that he could feel important. And yet it's the rest of us who have to literally and figuratively pay the price. Next up are previews of my interviews with Letitia James and Allison Riggs. But first, a quick note. On one video per week, this one, I have sponsors. So here's a quick note from some sponsors and then previews of my interviews with Letitia James and Allison Riggs. No Lies brought to you by Beam. Summer is almost here, but let's be honest, that doesn't mean we can slow down and take a break. The news cycle is relentless. Every day we get served up a new outrage designed to overwhelm us and take us out of the fight. This is the right trying to scare us. They want us to get burnt out, tune out what's happening, and roll over. But we can counteract that by waking up every day ready, refreshed, and energized. That's why I turned to Beam's Dream Powder, a national sleep blend designed to help you get the deep, restorative rest that your body and mind need to stay in the fight. Because here's the truth, you can't sustain the fight without the rest. Burnout serves the people in power who would love nothing more than to see you exhausted and checking out. With science-backed ingredients like reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin, Dream helps you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up ready to organize, resist, and raise hell without the fog or the crash. Since I started using Dream, my focus came back. My energy returned, I'm ready to face the day, ready to stand up for the things that matter. And I'm not the only one. Beam's Dream Powder has improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep for people across the country just like me. Oh, and did I mention? It tastes incredible. Smooth, delicious, and easy to add to your nighttime routine. It's simple, effective, and it works. Right now, Beam is offering up to 40% off their best-selling Dream Powder for my listeners. It's a limited-time offer and the perfect way to overcome that exhaustion and stay in the fight every day. Go to shopbeam.com and use code BTC at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/BTC and use code BTC for up to 40% off. Sleep well, wake up ready, the fight continues. No Lies brought to you by Shopify. So I'm actually really excited to talk about Shopify because when I first started my podcast and my website and my merch store, I didn't use Shopify. I used some other platform. It took a while, actually, before I did get into Shopify, and I wish I had found it sooner because Shopify is the single easiest website from a creator's perspective to be able to use and from a consumer's perspective to be able to buy from. And so highly recommend for anybody who is looking to start a website, skip all of the other stuff, go right to the site that actually does it right. It will save you so much time and energy and frustration in the end. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names to brands just getting started, including my own. Get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. Accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/BTC. There was concern a few months back that Donald Trump had given a heads up to, before his announcement as it relates to tariffs, that announcement was going to be handed down, and that resulted in some accusations of insider trading. We, of course, know that Donald Trump's Department of Justice, that Donald Trump's FBI, his SEC, isn't going to investigate possible crimes committed by Donald Trump or any Republicans. But as this kind of relates to the stock market, is that something that your office might have jurisdiction in? Is it something that your office is looking into?
So as you know, Brian, we have jurisdiction over the Martin Act. And so we investigate market manipulations and we basically police Wall Street. And so this is an area that we are looking into. The question is, in the past, we've had partners on the federal level, federal agencies that work with our office. And as you know, those federal agencies, unfortunately, are now beholden to the President of the United States and do not work for the general public. So it's an issue that we are considering. And at this point in time, there's really nothing more to say on that matter.
You can say no if I'm asking a question that you can't answer, but is there a way, hypothetically speaking, is there a way, if there is no cooperation with the SEC, for example, that New York has enough tools unto itself to be able to conduct an investigation or proceed with any charges?
It all depends upon the facts. And as you know, I don't operate in hypotheticals.
We have some very big news that I've spoken about on my channel already, but congratulations on the district court ruling affirming your win and basically negating all of Jefferson Griffin, your Republican opponent's efforts to cast off more than 60,000 ballots. Can I have your reaction first and foremost to this saga being over? But granted, he could still appeal, but for all intents and purposes, very much looks like it's over.
Yeah, yesterday was a huge win for the voters of North Carolina, for the voters across this country who were threatened by this effort to selectively cancel the votes of people that a disappointed candidate believed didn't support him after an election. It was rewarding to have the federal judge agree with all of our federal constitutional arguments, but today I celebrate the people of North Carolina who stood hand in hand with me for the last 6 months and said, democracy's not going to die here, not on our watch.
What do you make of the fact that this was a Trump-appointed judge who handed down this very definitive ruling?
It's a great reminder that judges can put politics aside, put people and their duty to uphold the Constitution above party. It's what I've been doing on the bench for the last 2.5 years. It's what judges from all political stripes did after the 2020 election, when there was an attempt to overturn that presidential election. This is what people deserve from judges. And I hope that folks take away from this that an independent judiciary, one that does the right thing without fear or favor, is something worth fighting for, that we can get back there. And it's what I'm going to be working on tirelessly here in North Carolina over the next 2 election cycles.
And of course, to watch the full interviews with Letitia James and Allison Riggs, click the thumbnails right here on the screen or check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel. You can also click the link on the screen to listen to the audio version of this episode, and of course, to see more of my content, the subscribe button's on the screen as well.